right back again. Second one today. I wanted to get through all the Roger Moore era. I just wanted to get it over with because after this, I got 10 more episodes and I'm done. Well, 11, counting the retrospective. But for this one, here we are with A View to a Kill, 1985. 2 hours and 11 minutes long. It's kind of a long one. It's okay. This is John Glenn's third outing. This will not be his last. This is Roger Moore, 7th outing. 57 years old and looks every bit of 57. This is his last one, man. This is it. This is the oldest Bond. No one has ever gotten even close to 57 playing Bond, unless you count Never Say Never Again. I don't even count that as a movie. Your Bond girls here: Stacey Sutton, Mayday, Kimberly Jones, Paula Ivanova. Oh, I need to slow down. We got your bad guy Max Zorin. We have some Rolls Royces, some Renault taxis. We have Duran Duran singing A View to a Kill. Whew, man. Okay, this is Roger Moore's least favorite Bond. He hates this movie. He said that basically they stopped being Bond films because they started focusing on the violence. And after watching the movie, there's not a huge amount of violence here. I mean, there's violence in the end when dude's shooting people, and that was one of the things that Roger Moore had such a problem with, was like, oh, he's just, the bad guy's just mowing down people. And it's like, well, he's the bad guy, dude. I mean, he's going to kill people. This is what happens. Personally, I'm not a fan of the Roger Moore movies. I know a lot of you watching are like, I don't even want to watch the rest of this guy's stuff because I love Roger Moore. And it's like, I'm sorry, none of these movies hit my Bond bone. They're all cheesy and corny. It's like, that's, and then everyone's like, oh, that's what Bond is. No, dude, Dr. No was nothing like that. Dr. No didn't have 16 gadgets in the movie. Dr. No had like one gadget. And it's like, and if you read the original James Bond, Roger Moore is like looking in the opposite universe of what James Bond was supposed to be. James Bond is supposed to be cold, calculating spy that's just a badass, and Roger Moore is not that. He's a joke, and he's good. He's a good Bond. He's better than George Lazenby. Give him that. I remember him being better than Timothy Dalton. But he is a far, far cry away from Sean Connery. But let's get right into this movie because this movie was something. Now, I actually kind of enjoyed it. Not as much as some of the other Roger Moore ones. Some of the cornier ones were better. It's just this one was a little too scattershot for me. But we open with Bond finding a dead guy in the snow, and he takes this chip from his necklace. Okay, cool. But we jump right into the action. A ski escape. Again, there are more ski things. There's more ski chases and boat chases in these freaking Roger Moore movies. It's crazy. But he's just kind of skiing, and he loses one of his skis, so he's only have to do one ski, and he ends up like knocking a dude off the cliff. And what's funny about that, I actually read about it before I saw it, so I was watching for it, so you have to watch for it. When the guy is falling off the cliff and you can actually hear him say Roger Moore. I don't know why I find that funny, but I do. He gets a ski-doo, which is a jet ski on snow. He gets that, blows that up. And then the biggest thing that happens is the ski falls off the ski-doo, and Bond gets on it like a snowboard and is snowboarding down the hill. Snowboarding like this. He's snowboarding. And apparently, this is what popularized snowboarding. Didn't really know that, but I looked that up, and apparently this is what did it. Like, this is what made snowboarding a thing. He's actually being chased by a helicopter, and he blows it up with a flare. Boom. And we escape with Miss Kimberly Jones. Last time, only time you see her. Right here in this plane. Flying off, you know. Cool, cool. And that's pretty much the open. Not one of the best openings. Kind of lackluster. But, you know, he is 57 years old. And there's one thing that's a major problem for me in this whole freaking movie is that you can tell when it's a stunt man. Like, in a lot of cases, you see the face, and it's clearly not Roger Moore. So it's like, okay, cool. You know, I don't mind people using stuntmen, but when you use a stuntman, this one's not on Roger Moore, by the way. This one's on the director. You should not show the face of your hero if he's not going to be the person doing the stunt. This is why Tom Cruise does all his stunts, so you can get a close up of his face. But anyway, flying off, and we go straight into our title, which is one of the cooler openings of a title sequence. It's a woman wearing a ski outfit. All you can see is from here down, and she's slowly unzipping this tight thing, and it like her breasticles kind of separate it real quick. When you separate it, it says 007. It's like, yeah, that's how you open a 007 movie right there. And the song playing is freaking Duran Duran, and it sounds so cool. It's an 80s song. I like Duran Duran, so, you know, yeah, great song. Not that's not the song that's playing. This is A View to a Kill that's playing, but that's a great Duran Duran song. Oh my God, it's so 80s. It is just the best 80s. And this song, unlike the love song that was in the last movie, Even Never Say Never Again, and the one before that, Octopussy, this goes with Bond. This actually, I could see the people listening to this while Bond is kicking some butt. Like, this is working for me. But I digress. We're done with the title sequence, and we go straight in. Sadness for me. We see Moneypenny, played by the wonderful Lois Maxwell. This is the last movie that Lois Maxwell plays Moneypenny. It's, like I said, sad for me. Everyone who's watched it from episode 1 knows my love for Moneypenny. So this is it. And it gets sadder. So, but right after this, 15 minutes in, we see Zorin, who is played by Christopher Need More Cowbell Walken. I do hate that people only know him for Need More Cowbell, honestly, because, I mean, when you think about Bug, it's a gnat flying around. When you think about, like, what he has done, like, take, for instance, this movie. He was fresh off an Oscar win, man. Fresh off of Deer Hunter. So people who know Walken as, wow, Christopher Walken, you know, I do the impression. I do the exaggerated one, you know, 1-900 Walken. I do that. But if you don't know Christopher Walken, watch Deer Hunter. Deer Hunter is real Christopher Walken. That dude can act. And he is not a parody of himself in that. And I love Christopher Walken. I even love exaggerated Christopher Walken. It's like loving exaggerated Nick Cage. So Christopher Walken, but this Christopher Walken was not the first choice to play. He wasn't the second choice to play. He wasn't the third choice to play. He wasn't even the fourth choice to play Zorin. He was the fifth. The first choice? Yeah. Bowie. David Bowie was the first choice. They got him to sign on to play Zorin until Bowie read the script and was like, look, dude, I'm not going to watch my stunt dude jump off a cliff for 4 months. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. So he bowed out. And they're like, okay, well, we need to get someone else. Who do we get? Oh, let's get Sting. They tried to get Sting to play Zorin, and Sting was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do that. That's a Bond film. I'm good. Sting ain't going to do it. So who do we get now? What? Mick Jagger. They tried to get Mick Jagger to play this guy. It's like we want everyone from 1980s MTV to come in to play Zorin. And all these guys are like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. So, in this one, I'm like, okay, I can see this because I love this actor. This was the one. And they're like, we're going to get away from musicians. We're going to go to an actor. And they go fresh off of Blade Runner, Rutger Hauer. That would have been mind-blowing. I love Rutger Hauer. I would have loved to have seen Rutger Hauer in this role because Rutger Hauer plays an insane person really well. Christopher Walken does too. He does wonderful as Zorin. But man, can you imagine Rutger Hauer in this role? Fantastic, fantastic. Oh man. Anyway, so we right after that actually, because standing with Zorn is Bam Mayday, played by the wonderful Grace Jones. She was a singer, model, everything else. Reportedly very difficult to work with. In fact, Roger Moore didn't like her at all. Roger Moore was once asked about her in a Q&A, and he said, "My mother once told me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all." Wow. The story goes is that he would be trying to take his afternoon naps, and Grace Jones would be listening to heavy metal in her trailer right next to his, and he can hear it, and he couldn't sleep. Dressing room, not trailer, dressing room. And that she was constantly late because she didn't like waking up early, and she would have to do her early shoots, and it was a trek to get her out. So reportedly hard to work with, but she was also a method actor, and she's like, no, this is how Mayday would have acted. Mayday hated Bond, so she would torture him with heavy metal. I don't know, but that's kind of cool, I guess. We do get, I'm gonna skip way forward here. There's a kill in here that's really weird, where this girl is like dancing with these butterflies that are on little fishing hooks, and Mayday actually fish hooks a dude with a poison hook and kills him. Now, I thought that was freaking neat. And Bond is like chasing Mayday up the Eiffel Tower. He's like, "Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Come get you!" And Mayday jumps off, parachute, which was very weird because they could not do that. They could not do that stunt off the actual Eiffel Tower. But the stuntmen were told, "Well, you're gonna have to jump off the Eiffel Tower." They got excited because they wanted to jump off the Eiffel Tower, and then they're like, "Yeah, we can't do that. They ain't gonna let us." And they got mad, so they took a camera and they jumped off the Eiffel Tower and did the parachute. And and they were like, "No, we don't know if we want you to shoot here anymore," and it jeopardized the film. So those stuntmen were fired. They got fired on the spot. So that happened. And then we get the weird Renault taxi. Yeah, it looks all messed up because that's the way it looked. Like they were driving it and it turned into a convertible, and then they chopped it in half, and he was driving the front of the car like it was just fine, Kind of made me angry because I'm like, that's not how this works, but whatever. And shortly after that, we get, bam, the Rolls Royce Silver Cloud 2 from 1962. That was actually Albert Broccoli's car. That was his real life car. So you had to be real careful with that. That's the producer's car. Yeah, but it's cool. 28 minutes in. This one's crazy. We meet Stacey Sutton, played by Tanya Roberts. If you don't know, if she looks kind of familiar to you, she should. She played Madge in That 70s Show. Super cool show, one of my favorite shows. Wasn't supposed to be played by Tanya Roberts at first. At first, they wanted Bo Derek. They wanted Bo Derek for this, which I'm like, yeah, boy, Bo Derek. She's a 10. But they didn't get Bo Derek. And Tanya Roberts, this is fresh off of Never Say Never Again, and she's like, hey, Kim Basinger's career got launched off that movie. If I'm a Bond girl, then my career could be launched. And she's like coming off of several films where it's not so great, but here's the sad part. Her career tanked. This was the last motion picture she was in. Like, she didn't get nothing. She just, and it's because she's horrible in this, and she was apparently an absolute pain to deal with. Like, the director hated her. There's a scene later on in this movie that the director left in, and it is a dig at her, and it's really bad. But she's apparently a bad to deal with, and I mean, rest in peace. She has passed away, and it was recently too. She was the one that she passed away, and then they said, "Oh no, she ain't dead. She's still alive." But she was like, they said she passed away. Her publicist like, "Yeah, she's dead," and then she's like, "Oh no, she's still alive. She's just in a coma." Now, like, since then, I think she has passed away. But wow, And it's like I said, she was a bad. And there's a scene like right after this where Bond talks to Zorin, and he's talking to Christopher Walken, and they're like talking back and forth. And Christopher Walken is an amazing actor. He's acting circles around Roger Moore. And then right after that, he goes and talks to Tanya Roberts. He talks to Stacey Sutton, and she is so bad. She's like, "Oh yes, Mr. Bond, I am here at this party because I'm here to support Zorin." It's so bad. It wasn't that bad, but it was still bad. But if we find out a little bit of something about Zorin is that he's a cheater. That his one of his horses earlier in the film wins a race, and it's because he's cheating. In the whip, he has a little needle, and he stabs the horse with it, and it like gives it some steroids. But he also has a little radio control thing to where he makes it to where their muscles don't get tired, so these horses can go for days. And we find he's a cheater, and he uses these microchips to do it. And the microchip was just like the one in the necklace of the guy from the beginning of the movie. So there's your link. Bam. There you go. We also find out, we see Mayday and Zorin fighting, doing a little sparring and stuff, and then they start some kiss action. And you're like, whoa, what? And you're like, this is weird, man. Grace Jones and Christopher Walken getting it on. Cool. All right. But they're like trying to chase down Bond through this whole film because Zorin knows that Bond is Bond, and there's a point where Bond is sneaking around and they're trying to follow him around. They can't find him, and Mayday like goes into her room and finds Bond in bed. And when she opens the door, you see Grace Jones's face. She's like, oh, she looks genuinely shocked, and you're like, dang, dude, she's a pretty good actor. But it's because when they were filming the movie, she opened the door and Roger Moore had his underwear on his head and a big black dildo, and like she was so shocked that that's a natural reaction. That's a real reaction that she got, and I think it's cool and a testament to Roger Moore in that he hated Grace Jones, but he still helped her out by doing these things. And that's not the only time we get a real reaction out of Grace Jones either. But what's even weird on this is she lays down with Bond, and it's death by snoo, man. Like, he didn't die, but that's snoo. That ain't sex with Grace Jones. That's snoo. And it's crazy because she's a woman. She could kick my butt, man. That's good stuff. But Zorin, he finds out who Bond really is. He knows that Bond's not on the up and up, but he finds out who he is. He's like, basically scans him, and he has this little computer that's like, his name is Bond. He has a license to kill. He's 007. It's like, whoa, okay, so he found everything. And the whole time, Walken's playing it off like, oh, yeah, oh, ooh, yeah. He's trying to find him a horse. He's like, oh, you want to buy a horse? Well, we've got a lot of horses here. Oh my, it's Walken. He's being Walken, and he does have those Walken moments where he talks like that, but a lot of the movie he actually doesn't. And Bond's buddy's killed in a car wash when they're taking the freaking Rolls Royce through the car wash. Grace Jones pops out of the back and garrots him. That's crazy. He's also going to have to race Zorin because Zorin's like, oh, you want to test out your horse? His name is Inferno. Just come with me and you can race. And he's like about to race him, but then like 19 other dudes showed up and they start racing, and every time Zorin hops over an obstacle, he like hits a button and the obstacle raises like 3 feet, so Bond has to jump over it again. Doesn't work out too well for Bond. He actually ends up almost escaping, but then they find the Rolls Royce and he finds his buddy dead in the back, and he's like, you didn't have to kill him. And he's like, British intelligence is going to get you. He's like, well, then I'm about to make the same mistake twice. He's going to kill Bond, but Bond's like, you shouldn't have done that. He's like, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. And he's like, British intelligence is going to send all the 00 agents here now. And he was like, well, if you're any indication, if you're the best they got, it should be pretty easy. It's like, wow. So I love it. So they get that's a whole assassination attempt. It's crazy. And it's a great standoff when they're talking to each other, and they're like, this one thing, man, Christopher Walken and Roger Moore had incredible chemistry in this movie. The few times they actually speak, man, it's really cool. But they put Bond to sleep and they're going to throw him in the lake. And Grace Jones is pushing the car and it's going down. But what's really crazy is you can actually see the string from the lake to the car pulling the car in. You can actually, I mean, clearly see it. It's barely even hidden. So we have a moment where now Zorin's going to take over the basically the criminal world, and we have all the criminals. And one of the criminals has a bodyguard. 55 minutes in, you have to look. If you look for it, 55 minutes in, one of the criminals has a bodyguard. He looks really familiar. He looks like this. That's Dolph Lundgren. That's Dolph Lundgren. That's Ivan Draco. Dolph Lundgren, man. I'm like, holy crap! And I looked it up. This is his very first movie. He did Rocky IV shortly after this. It was the very next movie he did was Rocky IV, because Rocky IV was his introduction. So, and Rocky IV, phenomenal movie. It's kind of another link to Talia Shire there, like from the last episode. So, yeah. And the reason why he got that job is because he was dating Grace Jones. He was dating Mayday at the time. And he was just visiting the set, and the extra that was supposed to play that part didn't show up. And they were like, yo, you want to get in? And Dolph's like, yeah. And in case you don't know, like, Dolph Lundgren, yeah, he looks like a freaking monster, but he is a genius. Like, he's got a master's degree in chemical engineering. He is ridiculously smart. And I have a love for Dolph Lundgren. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. He's one of my favorite he's one of my favorite action stars of the 80s and 90s. Like, he's so awesome. And he always played a bad guy. He rarely got to play a good guy. That's okay. So we get we're all up on a blimp. Zorin is with all of the criminal masterminds, and he's up on the blimp. He's telling them that we can take over the microchip world if we take out Silicon Valley. He doesn't say how he's going to do it, but one guy is like, all you got to do is give me $100 million, each of you. And the guy's like, $100 million? I ain't giving you nothing. I'm out of here. He's like, all right, well, Mayday will show you outside. And he's like, all right. And Mayday just pushes him out the door, and they all watch him fall to his death. And he's like, walking, turns around. He's like, anybody else want to drop out? Because he dropped out. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. But yeah. But we're back on the ground, and Bond's trying to sneak into the thing. He's got his scuba suit on. He's got to go into the water and sneak in, but they actually turn on the fans, and he almost gets sucked in. And he ends up having to throw his tank in there, and it's like a whole huge thing where they capture the wrong guy, because they still think Bond's dead. They capture the wrong guy and they kill the wrong guy. Like, they throw him down into the tank that sucks him in with the fan, and it isn't actually that bloody. It's not that bad. But Bond's gonna have to get out of there, and he actually runs into an old friend, apparently, Paula Ivanova. That's one of his old friends, played by Fiona Fullerton. It was supposed to be the girl from one of the other movies. I can't remember which one exactly. It was supposed to be her, but she turned it down. She was like, no. So that's why they kind of know each other. And they get the smush mush. They do it. They get it. They gets down. And the reason why she's there is because while they were underground, while they were doing the fan thing, they were recording everything that he said, so they know his plan. So they have this cassette tape, and this Paula chick's a Russian, and she's like, I'm gonna take the plans to the Russians so we can stop him. And he's like, cool, and she steals the cassette tape, but he ends up switching it out with a Tchaikovsky tape, so he has a tape. It was the wrong tape, so she slept with him for no reason. And it has the whole plan on it. So, and then we finally see Stacey Sutton again. She's disappeared for like an hour, but we're finally here, and she lives in this mansion, and this mansion was actually used for Phantasm, the movie Phantasm. The interior shots were actually part of this. So this movie has a straight link to Phantasm. And she's like pulling a shotgun on Bond. What are you doing here? And then dudes break in, and he's like, give me that gun. Wow, boom, boom. And he's like blowing these dudes away, but they keep getting back up. It's like, what the hell? I thought when I watched it, because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I'm like, oh, well, they're probably got these microchips, so they don't feel pain or something. No, she's got a gun filled with rock salt. He's like, what's in this gun? Rock salt. If you haven't seen Kill Bill Volume 2, Bill's brother uses rock salt on Beatrix. And he's like, it ain't gonna kill you, but sure gonna hurt like hell. You know, and that's basically it. You know, straight rock salt right to the tits. You know, so I don't know why they have it, but Bond's a good guy. She ends up falling asleep later, like he's getting her drunk and stuff. He's thinking he's going to get some action, and he ends up just like covering up, tucking her in, and everything's cool. So he's a good guy. But right after all this, Mayday strangles another freaking partner, the freaking a CIA agent. I'm not mentioning them because they're not important. They're there for Mayday to kill. Yeah, we're finally going to get to the point where we're in this building. We know where we're trying to find out what his plan is. We know that he's going to cause an earthquake of some kind. But what's going to happen? Where are these earthquakes going to be? We need to know where these earthquakes are going to be so we know what's going to happen. So we're going to go to City Hall to get the plans to find out where all of Zoran's properties are, because that's got to be where these things. So they go to City Hall, but Zoran's already there, and Zoran pops like the mayor or something like that, and then he tries to burn Bond and Stacey Sutton in the elevator alive. They're in the elevator, and he's like, boom, throwing cocktails, Molotov cocktails, and burning them up. He's like, all right, let's get out of here. And they escape through the top, and this is so bad right here. They escape through the top, and they're like climbing up into the shaft of the elevator, and Bond's like, stay here. Oh wait, it's Roger Moore. Stay here. And he's crawling up to the next level, and he's going to open the doors and get out. But the whole time, like, he takes one step, and Stacey Sutton's over there, don't leave me, Bond, come back. And he's like not saying anything, but he's like up there opening the door. Now, one of two things would have happened if that was me. If she's over here, don't leave me, I would have turned around and said, shut the up. Or I would have just left her. Be like, dude, you're annoying as hell. I'm out of here. You clearly see me trying to save us. And he does. He gets the fire hose and throws it down to her, and she like kind of shimmies up. Whatever. Don't leave me. Shut up. And they end up stealing a fire truck because Bond's about to get arrested. And he's like, oh, whatever. Like that. And they steal a fire truck. And then there's like, we has chase, and they're chasing this fire truck. But then there's a scene where, I don't have a picture of it because I couldn't find one, where Bond is hanging on, like, you got the fire truck, and the ladder's out like this, and Bond's hanging off this ladder just like, oh, and every time a car comes by, he's lifting up his legs, and the car's like, he's like, oh, 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 like that. I'm like, man, that shot looks ridiculously familiar. And it does, because T3, Terminator 3, when he's hanging off the crane, every time a car comes by, he would lift up his legs. Except on one of them, he lifted up his legs and then kicked the car over. Just really cool. I was like, whoa, man. Just think, what if that's where he got that idea, was from A View to a Kill? I would have thought that was pretty cool. But after that, we got the moment where we're in our final act. This is it, and we know where the earthquakes are going to happen. We know the deal. There's going to be earthquakes, and they're going to flood Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley is going to be gone forever, and they can corner the microchip market. And there's a moment where Stacey Sutton comes out, and she's wearing these coveralls, and they're really loose. And Bond says, "Too bad you couldn't get some coveralls that fit you." And this is a dig. This is a dig at Tanya Roberts, because Tanya Roberts was really adamant. She was almost refusing to act unless they got her some coveralls that fit. Like, I want some personal fitting coveralls. And she was getting all upset, but they wouldn't give it to her. So in this scene, she comes out with the coveralls. Bond says, too bad you couldn't find some that fit you. And the best acting that Tanya Roberts has done this entire movie is a real reaction when she looks annoyed at not Bond, but Roger Moore. He should have got some coveralls that fit you. And she's like that. And it's like, you can see the seething anger in her. And I'm like, I love it. Tell her what I tell her. Put her in the coffin. It's all right. She was very annoyed by that. But yeah, so we're gonna blow up our fault lines and everything, blah 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 blah, and then after all this is gonna happen, all these workers are working to do this, and Walken or Zoran comes out with this machine gun and starts laying waste, just murderizing people. It looks like this. And I'm like, man, you know what? That looks familiar too. And he's like murderizing people like Tony Montana from Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. You know? I'm like, oh, and that was rather violent because he's like, he has to have killed like 100 people. It's like, geez, man. And then he floods the place and it's like, it's even worse. But he actually leaves Mayday to die. So Mayday freaking turns code. She just face turn. And she's like, I'm going to help Bond. And there's a point where they're getting out of there. And there's a thing where they're going through the water. And some wires go, so they start sparking and stuff. And Mayday goes, ah! And that scream was real because Grace Jones was scared to death that she was about to get electrocuted because the director told her to be careful because those are live wires. He didn't tell them that they're fake and they're pyrotechnics. He's like, no, be careful, those are live wires. So she's walking, you see those sparks, she's like, ah! And her scream is real. So that's kind of cool. But Mayday does this awesome thing where it puts her up there with the top Bond girls, where she sacrifices herself to save the day. They find the bomb that's going to set off the earthquake. She gets on top of it and she's going to go, it's going to blow up with her. And she does, it blows up. But it's too late. But Zorn's like, nah, how dare you? And he's flying off on his blimp, but he's going to do something. And Bond's grabbing a rope, and he's like hanging there, like, oh my god, what the hell, like that. And they get on, and he's like, well, just just kind of like put him onto the bridge, yeah, okay. But so he gets him on the bridge here, and very strange moment here. He gets him on the bridge, and the bridge hits him, but Bond grabs a hold of it and then wraps the freaking rope around the bridge so they can't go anywhere. And he's like, I can't go. I cannot go. What's going on? And I don't know if it would exactly go like that. Like, he's like, bzz, bzz, we can't move. What's going on? Bzz, bzz. So he does it, and he does this thing with Walken. He's like, I need more power, and it just reminded me, and it's like, kind of like this. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more power. So it made me laugh because it made me think of that. But anyway, he gets out. It actually ruins the thing, and he's like, okay, he has fight on a bridge, and he has fight on a bridge. And the coolest part about this whole thing is he beats him, and he has Zoran hanging off the edge, and he's like, no. But in the most Walken thing ever, he's like, he knows he's gonna fall. He starts sliding, and he just goes, ha ha ha, whoa. He just starts laughing, and it's so cool. But Bond, they end up they're gonna beat Bond by lighting up some dynamite and throwing it at him, but he cuts the rope and it makes him fall. Boom, boom, thing blows up. And that's it. And we get two final shots of the film. The final shot of Moneypenny, and she's crying, and it's because she can't find Bond. They can't find Bond, but Bond's okay. But she's crying, and the reason why she's crying because that is her goodbye. Moneypenny's gone. Okay, and then the very last shot of James Bond is him literally throwing in the towel because it's the final Roger Moore. They had already recasted. They already said Roger Moore's not coming back. And that was A View to a Kill. Yeah, I'm doing this. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's a really scattershot movie. 6 out of 10. It's not too bad. Body count of 5, love count of 4. It's just, it was very meh again. But that's the end of my Roger Moore adventure. I'm done with Roger Moore. I start the Timothy Dalton era next. So I got 2 Timothy Dalton movies next, and then I got 4 Pierce Brosnan movies, and then I got 4 Daniel Craig movies, and then the retrospective episode, and I'm done. I'm gonna be on episode 16 after this one. And episode 16 is gonna be The Living Daylights, 1987, John Glenn coming back. Timothy Dalton's first movie. Man, Miriam Diabo is in that movie, which is fantastic. We got Jodan Baker. Holy crap! I mean, oh, and we got Aha doing the song, which is kind of cool in itself. But that's next time. Hopefully you'll join me for that. This one's run a little long, so, but I'm DC, and this is my Bond adventure. Hopefully you'll join me for the next one.